protect, and serve.
Did you have a question about the heinous murder?
Did you have any thoughts about the murder?
If you ask me, it's one of those actors. Or that horrible painter. Their type is always the cause of violence.
I found some evidence that Ezra was embezzling from you and the other investors.
Oh, well, I really don't believe that. Mr. Parker wouldn't do such a thing, I'm sure.
What's with all the junk in here?
These are our things. We're just waiting till the war blows over so we can bring them back to the mansion.
Maybe later.
Good luck catching the murderer, Detective.
You're not so bad yourself.
You should have seen me before all this. Red hair that was the envy of every girl and legs for days, darling. I'm sure you'd rather hear some of my stories from the silver screen rather than talk about that nasty murder business.
I must say, you're quite the actress.
What can I say? It just comes naturally. Surely you must be here for my salacious stories of the silver screen.
Have you ever done radio? Your voice is quite enchanting.
Well, darling, play your cards right, and maybe I'll whisper some sweet nothings in your ear. Care to hear some of my stories, Detective?
Can you answer some questions?
Sure, darling. What did you need?
Did you have any thoughts about the murder?
Well, it is a bit strange how obsessed Santiago has been with the murder. I mean, he's always been a bit obsessive, though. He did a whole series of paintings of me, hundreds, said I was his muse. It was flattering for a while, but the man is a bit much, even for me. Did you need something else?
I found Keith's baseball bat at the scene of the murder. Any thoughts on how it got there?
I don't know, Detective. I can't really imagine Keith killing Ezra. Did you need something else?
What were you and Keith talking about when I came in?
Oh, that? We were rehearsing. Gotta stay sharp if we're going to rebuild Hollywood. But Keith always gets flustered when he's upset. Did you need something else?
maybe later.
I'll be around, languishing from your inattention.
Do you think anyone actually felt like they were at the beach in here? Never get stuck in one of these things again like beaches.
Well. If it isn't the law, I'm the law. Tell me, are you a devotee of the arts? Does that cruel muse call you to her entrapping bosom?
It's okay. I've gone to a few museums.
Museums? I'm talking about art. Art, the jubilant ecstasy of the soul made material. You cannot contain that, don't you see? Come with me. Tell me, what does this piece say to you?
I don't know. It looks kind of like a face. That spot is the eye. The red blotch is its hair, and it's sticking its tongue out.
Indeed. This was the last piece I did in a series of portraits of Gilda. Number 1378. Her emotional landscape is superimposed on the portrait. The reality of the subject is distorted as the ego attempts to project itself. This way. Tell me, what does this one say to you?
It's the war. Bombs from every direction. No up or down. The world turned on its head.
I suppose in a way it must be. Art shapes the world, and the world shapes art in return. All art must therefore be constantly reborn through the lens of contextual and historic interpretation. We must ascend. And what about this one? And please be honest, for art without honesty is just politics.
It's a metaphor. A young creature grappling with ideas it doesn't possess the capability to understand.
Well, that's certainly a projected interpretation. Ah, well, truth be told, this is my best-selling piece. I did this series under a pseudonym, of course. This series has spent more money than any of my serious works. And I did the whole thing as a lark. What does that tell you about the value of art to the common man? My fellow connoisseur of the arts, here to see my latest work.
I think you should explain why you keep returning to the crime scene.
It's for inspiration, detective. The others do not like to think about it, but even we shall die someday. Like Prometheus's torch, it kindles within me the fire to create as much art as I can in the time that I have.
It sounds like you've done a lot of paintings of Gilda. Why her?
Our Gilda is a very singular creature, detective. Do you not see the joie de vivre from within her? I have never met another who clings to life so tenaciously, who lives so in the moment. I must admit I was quite smitten with her for a time.
You're still in love with Gilda, aren't you?
So what if I am? What business is it of yours? She deserves someone who truly understands her ephemeral beauty, not that brute actor.
Did you have any thoughts about the murder?
The person you should be looking at is Juliana Riggs. That Philistine would not know art from her own excrement. She and Ezra had a rather dramatic fight recently. You could hear her banshee screeches all the way across the hotel.
What were Juliana and Ezra arguing about?
I don't know. I was painting at the time and I was trying to block it out. Though I think Gildo probably heard them. Maybe you should check with her.
Tell me about yourself.
What is there to tell? I am one of the premier artists in the world. My work is primarily in oil paint.
Maybe later.
Good. I hope my paintings are able to open your...
Hello, Detective. How can I help? Did you have questions about the case?
Did you have any thoughts about the murder?
It's obviously Santiago. He keeps going back to look at the crime scene.
I found your baseball bat at the crime scene. Care to explain how it got there?
Someone is clearly trying to frame me for the murder. It's probably Santiago. You saw him skulking around the crime scene.
What were you and Gilda talking about when I walked in?
Oh, we were just rehearsing a scene. Nothing to worry about.
Maybe later.
Okay. Just let me know how I can help.
Tell me about yourself.
Oh, well, I'm a scientist. You've probably met my wife, Juliana, already. Not sure what else to say, really. Oh, was there something else, Detective?
Did you have any thoughts about the murder?
Oh, well, that's not really my field of expertise, but I'm sure there are probably some clues at the crime scene. Oh, was there something else, Detective?
I heard that Juliana and Ezra had an argument a few days before he was found dead. Tell me about that.
Well, I was in my lab at the time, so I didn't hear it. But Juliana has always been rather critical of Mr. Parker. I think she found something in the overseer's office. I wasn't listening when she told me about it. I kind of had my head in my research. I don't know, really. I try to let her handle all the money stuff. Oh, was there something else, Detective?
Maybe later.
Very well. I'll just get back to my work then.
Hey.
Go ahead. You got time to talk now?
What's wrong?
Wrong? Oh no, nothing's wrong.
We've just been traveling for a while now, and I figured, especially after all that stuff with Dima, that you deserve to know more about me. So, there anything you want to know?
So who are you, Nick?
That's a question I've been trying to figure out myself for a long damn time. I know I'm a synth, authentic Institute handiwork, but I'm still mechanical. Not bioengineered like the fancy synths giving everyone the willies these days. I get tune-ups now instead of checkups.
You remember when Dima was talking about the Institute's personality experiments? My memories. My personality. They're all lifted from some cop who volunteered for an experiment back before the war. They scanned his brain and copied it onto the hardware that runs between my ears. Don't know why they chose to make a robot based on some pre-war cop instead of a math genius or a bioengineer. Hey, maybe that's why the Institute tossed me in the garbage instead of turning me into one of their people snatchers.
Wait, the original Nick was from my time?
Sure was. Which meant when I finally ended up out here, it was quite the rude awakening. I remember waking up one day in a garbage heap, a body in tatters and a head full of memories belonging to a man who'd been dead for 200 years. Suffice to say, it was a confusing couple of weeks. Folks didn't really know much about synths back then, so when I finally ran into people, they mostly treated me with caution rather than hostility. But the kids, they weren't afraid. I think his name was Jim. The first person to actually speak to me after I got the boot from the Institute. My first human contact in this world. Grilled me for an hour. Once they'd seen I wasn't going to hurt anyone, the other folks in the neighborhood came out to ogle the mechanical man. It eventually turned into a pretty swell soiree. A local mechanic even gave me a once-over, free of charge. Those people, they treated me like a human being. I've been trying to return the favor ever since. It's a surprisingly rare trait out here sometimes. It's something I've noticed you got a fondness for. Part of the reason I've stuck around this long.
Where's that town? We should go visit.
Tried to go back and say thanks once I'd gotten myself established. But the place was wiped off the map. Raiders. Don't know what happened to the people.
If you're good to people, they'll be good back. That's something I've always believed.
Couldn't agree more. Well, I expect you're about as bored as can be listening to me rattle my skeletons. We should probably head out.
I heard you had a big fight with Ezra a few days ago. Care to explain?
Oh, well, it wasn't that big a deal, really. He wanted more money to pay for repairs on the hotel. I wasn't feeling well that day and lashed out a bit at the poor man. I really should have listened to him more.
Never mind.
Good luck catching the murderer, Detective. Hello, Detective. Did you have a question about the heinous murder?
I think you're the real murderer.
That's just silly, Detective. Why would I want to kill Mr. Parker?
Ezra was embezzling your money. That's why you killed him and framed Keith.
You were so close, Detective.
It's a shame. I thought I could keep the ruse going a little longer. Oh, well, had to end eventually, I suppose. This doesn't have to end in more violence, Detective. Just walk away. I'll leave, and you can tell them I escaped.
Ezra? You're alive.
Well, congratulations on catching up, Detective. Yes, I've been masquerading as Juliana for some time now.
What's it going to be, Detective? Join me in getting rich? Or die defending some outdated ideals?
Why did you kill Juliana?
I hadn't planned on it, but Juliana figured out what I was doing and had to be dealt with swiftly. I thought I could get a bit more money out of this place before making my escape.
Well, how is this going to go down?
If I'm gonna let you go, I want a cut of what you've stolen.
Not a chance, Detective. I've invested far too much time into this. If I'm leaving, I'm taking everything with me.
Well, how is this going to go down?
I need time to consider this.
I'm sorry, Detective.
Well,
Uh-huh.
hello, Detective. Did you have a question about the heinous murder?
I think you're the...
That's just silly.
Ezra was embezzled.
You were so...
It's a shame. But this...
Ezra?
Well, yes.
What's it going to be, Detective? Join me in...
Why did you kill Juliana?
I hadn't planned on it. I thought I...
Well, how is this going to go down?
Not a chance. Your murder spree stops here.
Then let us end this.
Fucking kill! I found the killer. It was Ezra. He killed Juliana and took her place to hide his tracks.
My word! I never thought Mr. Parker was capable of something like this. What happened when you confronted him?
He attacked me, but it's over now. Your residents are safe.
There you are, Detective. Payment for your services and a bonus for uncovering such a heinous plot. I don't think we could have done it without you.
I think you're... Uh-huh. Ezra.
You...
Uh-huh.
It's a shame. I thought I could keep
Sure.
this done.
Uh-huh. Ezra?
Well...
Right.
Yes.
What's it going to be, Detective? Join me in getting rich?
Uh-huh. Why did you kill Julie?
I hadn't planned, I thought.
Well... How is this going to go down?
You lost your mind? What could they have possibly done to deserve that?
Hello, Detective. Did you have a question about the heinous murder?
I think you're... Ezra was embezzling...
You...
It's a shame. I thought I could... This...
Ezra?
Well, yes.
What's it going to be, Detective? Join me in...
Right. Why did you kill Juliana?
I hadn't planned...
Sure.
Well...
Not a chance.
Then...
Hey, toss anything you can't haul my way.
I found the killer. It was Ezra. He killed Juliana and took her place to hide his tracks.
My word! I never thought Mr. Parker was capable.
He attacked me, but
There you are, Detective.
Protect and serve.
Hello there.
Who killed the whites? Too many folks these days count on violence to solve their problems. You have to look around to see where that goes.